It's with us a little bit later. Shedeur Sanders will be an interesting fantasy selection after he looked great in his preseason debut, threw 2 touchdowns on Friday night, leading Dan Orlovsky yesterday here to say Shedeur has earned reps with the Browns starters this week.
I just thought watching him, he did some things even in one game that were somewhat question marks coming out of college that you have to be so encouraged about. No question, he has to be getting starting reps this week. I'm in the camp, start one of the rookies. We saw one of the rookies play. He should be getting starting reps this week.
So the Browns were not watching when we had that conversation yesterday. They released their quarterback depth chart yesterday, and Shedeur Sanders remains 4th on it. You see Joe Flacco remains right now in the pole position. Both Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel didn't play last week because of injury. They are back on the practice field. Tyler Huntley was signed. He did play last week as well. Kmart, you are our AFC North reporter, if you will. What the actual heck are they doing after that performance, leaving Shedeur in the 4th spot?
Yeah, it seems like right now the Kevin Stefanski plan is still, this is what we're doing. Shedeur was impressive, but right now, Joe Flacco still has pole position, like you said. But keep in mind, with Kevin Stefanski, his history, and he was asked about this, is typically for joint practices. That's where the starters get the bulk of the work. And then for the preseason games, that's where you see the young guys, the rookies. Now, with Joe Flacco, the expectation is that he will still start in week 1, but everybody expected Shedeur had this kind of breakout game. It was a very solid game. He was impressive. That should earn him some first-team reps. And instead, he got more reps than he had all season long, except all offseason long, except they were at the 2s and the 3s with Dillon Gabriel. So look for Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur to play the bulk Saturday against the Eagles. They will have a joint practice tomorrow, Thursday in Philly, and then the game. But for right now, I think it's still befuddling, I would say.
Jeff, what did you see from Shedeur Sanders specifically on Friday night, and what do you, if you were the coach there, what would your plan be?
Yeah, calmness and composure, I think, are the things that I was most impressed with, right? Like, he didn't get happy feet in the pocket. He allowed plays to develop. He didn't panic in any situation. Obviously, on one run, he found a great play in the back of the end zone that kind of, he threaded the needle a little bit there. But I thought that the calmness and composure were the things I liked the most. And I'll say this, and the depth chart I don't really care about because I was like the 17th guard before I ended up making it. And when you're drafted 5th, you're going to be late on the depth chart. It is what it is. But when you talk about how do you get Shedeur ready if he's going to play, you need him playing against the ones in practice this week. In 7-on-7, he needs to be the guy throwing it. You get Schwartz when you're running 1s versus 1s against your own team, who's the coordinator for the Browns. Those type of things, because you need to see when guys are going to be playing week 1, not the guys who are going to be on the street or with some other team come week 1, the guys who will be playing, you need to see how he reacts in those situations. All the rest of this stuff is just make-believe. We need to see what it looks like when the bright lights turn on. And the only way to learn that, Greeny, and Swagu knows this, and Kmart knows it, is get him with the ones. And he did earn that by the way he looked. I don't care about the competition he played. What he showed was, give me more opportunity, Coach Stefanski, and let me see if I can do this against the best of the best.
What do you think, Swagu?
My bad, G. I was distracted. I've been in that weight room and my muscles are looking smooth on TV right now. But to your question, and Kmart knows this. We talked about this. Yeah, it's time. Me and Kmart talked about this Friday when we did First Take in Cleveland at NABJ, which was a phenomenal event. I said that what Shedeur could do in this preseason game is earn more reps with the 2s and the 1s, right? To be Joe Flacco's backup, and if you continue to progress, potentially, you may become the starter based on what this coaching staff sees. I'm along with Jeff, and it sounds like 2 guys that's been in a bunch of training camps. That depth chart only matters in paper because I cannot believe that the Cleveland Browns are going to go back to practice after that performance from Shedeur and not give him more opportunity to continue to work his way up through this depth chart. you still have to give Dylan Gabriel a shot. You still have to see what Kendrick Perkins can do in these situations. So that's not a crazy idea. But the fact that Shedeur was able to play like he played, he's earned more reps in practice to continue to make a push to try to become the starter eventually for this team as Joe Flacco either gives way as a whole year quarterback or you feel comfortable with him taking over at some point during the season if he's good enough.
On the depth chart right now, they still have him hitting cleanup. We'll see if he winds up moving up as the week goes on. In the meantime, as you are aware, we are in the midst of the fantasy football marathon, and those numbers have only just begun. That is how many teams have been drafted to play ESPN Fantasy Football. That number is going way up today and through the rest of this offseason's fantasy app, or go to ESPN.com/FFL. We'll have Field Yates a little bit later with that, but first, let's look at it ourselves. Let's play a game of Who You Got with a fantasy spin. Jeff, which quarterback has the better fantasy season, you think? Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts?
I'm going Jalen Hurts, Greeny. I just think with the legs, when he gets down in the red zone, he can get the tush-push, get in for the end zone. You're going to get extra points that way. You saw what he did last season. They're going to run the ball for $150 per game. He's probably going to have 60 or 70. He'll get a rushing touchdown. Then he'll throw for some. I like where he is. I'm going Jalen Hurts here.
I think Field Yates has him third or fourth on his list of quarterbacks. Swagu, let's go to receivers. CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson?
Damn, I hate to not pick CeeDee, but I'm going Justin Jefferson for a myriad of reasons. One, he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Two, he will not have his complimentary guy in Jordan Addison for a number of weeks, and it's a rookie quarterback. Who the hell y'all think he's going to throw the ball to? Me and Jeff Saturday and Kmart? No, he's going to throw it to Justin Jefferson as much as he possibly can, and that's going to be it for Justin Jefferson to have a lot of fantasy points going into the season.
And finally, Jeff, you love to run the ball. Let's do the runners. Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs? Who you got?
I'm going Gibbs here, Greeny. And listen, I love Robinson, and I'm a Falcons fan, so I pulled for the Falcons down in Atlanta. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I just love the way Dan Campbell, he stays committed to running the football. You know they're not going to change who they are with a new offensive. It's still going to be ground and pound. Get behind the pads, go play. Team fatigue on the defense. They keep grinding. He gets explosive runs at the end. And no telling what he can do with the ball out of the backfield and catching passes and screens. So I love where Gibbs is going to be this season as well.
We will see, because last I saw, Field Yates has Bijan Robinson RB1 going into the season.
That's right.
Again, Yates will join us a little bit later. As we continue, you're going to hear from Jerry Jones again. He was on this blue carpet last night doing what he does best. And in this case, he genuinely said the quiet part out loud about all the drama in Dallas. You need to hear this.
So for him, it's a risk, right? Like it's a risk for everybody. If he plays under this, and I know he's making some money in his fifth-year option and all of that type of stuff, but as opposed to making maybe $20 more million to play one season if you get a deal done. And here's the other thing, man. Like when you think about Micah Parsons at this point, young, still playing at the top of his game, technically hasn't even hit his prime yet, right? So he has a team as well. He has a team of advisors as well that's kind of guiding and telling him what